discussion is going to be on attributes and how we set up attributes and effectively assign those attributes. Okay. So the most important thing is there are three levels. There are three levels to follow when you set up an attribute. So what is an attribute effectively? So effectively when you talk of an attribute, you are in essence trying to assign a defined set of description of value to a group of, let's say, property types. So you might have residential, you might have commercial, you might have whatever you have. Then it's the same as attributes in terms of attributes in terms of, let's say, accountants, and then you have that type of thing. But the most important thing is when you look at attributes, like I said, there are three things you need to do. So everything is in GL Manager, and under system you have got your attributes. So at the moment what you have is you just have these generic attributes which you have here. So the most important thing is to note that when you look at attributes, the attribute set itself is what we call a group of attributes to which you want to assign to a property. For example, like the example which I gave, we can have a category of the various properties you have. So what we have here is we can add a group. I don't know what group you currently want to give, for example. So I might have a group of, let's say, funds. Okay, and then this particular attribute, which this set of attributes, it would then have to create what we call the actual attributes within that. So you might have, in this case, I'll just say it's just a fund set. Okay, and then once you have got that, now you now have got the actual attributes of saying, okay, I've got a fund set. What do I want on that particular fund? So by default, we have got all these types of attributes which we have in the system. But in this case, you might say, oh, this is not enough. Let's say in our case we have got these funds. I can then effectively go down and add an attribute. Okay, so what attribute name do I want here? Let's say it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Opportunity fund. Opportunity funds. Then you can then say the values of the opportunity funds you have there. But for now, I'll just leave it like that. And then I'll just say, okay, so it will just give you a list of those funds. So we have added that attribute of opportunity funds. Then I'll just say, okay, I want to add another attribute. I'll call them core funds. Core funds. Okay. Right. Save. Okay. So what happens then is, if I come here, let me just say funds. Okay. Say funds. Okay. So that it spelling is correct. Okay. Now, what does this mean? It means that I now have got a attribute set called called funds. But within those funds, I've chosen that the attribute which I want for each is core fund or opportunity fund, or you can name it whatever you want. If, for instance, there is anything else you want as well here is, you might say, okay, I want to know the country which the fund is. So again, you can just add up the particular country there, okay? And then if for any particular fund you want, let's say you want to add like for example, for each one, who is a particular fund manager. I think we have a fund manager here. No, okay, I'll just put asset manager. Okay, so, okay. So in essence now, we now have got our attribute set. We also have got, within the attribute set of funds, we also have got the attribute which we want to attach to a fund. Then for us to then, the last part would then be what is quite important when you set up these funds is that let's look at the asset manager here. Okay, so at the moment I've got these funny names, not funny names, we've got various names here. I thought I was looking at a demo, but I think it's actual names. So we have got asset managers there, their names there appearing there. So if, for example, one of the key things as well, Ali and company is Marianne, is you might want to also have accountants or fund controllers as part of your attributes, because you might say you want to know who is the fund controller for that, who is the accountant for that, because this will help you down the line when you are doing certain things. Let's say if you, for example, use a debt module, you want to know who is the accountant on that, or you want to assign, you want to make sure that you control access using that attribute. You can do that as well. So the most important thing is, once you have got all the attributes, you have to make sure that, in this case we didn't have any value, so you can put in the name of the fund there, opportunity number 1, opportunity number 2, or whatever it is you want to put. So once you have got those attributes, values for, let's say, opportunity fund, you can do it as well for everything else. I just want to see if we have got for country already. I think you should have that. Yeah, you have got that for country. So it's quite useful when you now do the analysis. You'll be using these attributes. Now, once you have got that, those attributes, you can at any point in time add the things you want to do that. So once you are complete with this, the most important thing is the attribute set. I don't know if there's anyone with a question on that in terms of how these attributes work, in terms of how we set up, because these ones are the generic ones, but I've just put in funds there.
So in actual fact, context for anyone who's not aware of this, we have one generic one, which is entity attributes, and that's obligatory. So any fund or any entity you onboard onto the system, it's obligatory that you complete all the entity attributes as part of onboarding. Everything else is peripheral. You can see there's obviously a client custom one on there, and every entity that we set up, which is technically out of scope of our work, but that we're setting up in order to get commitments to reach 100%, is in the out of scope entity attributes, which is much smaller. So there's very few data points that we actually capture in this way. But going forward, if there was a reporting requirement that required you to segregate by a particular attribute, we can obviously come back around and look at creating something bespoke for that particular client at that point in time. I think, Searchmore, the reason I brought this in was really just to work out, when you are onboarding a new client with a large number of attributes, is it the same process in terms of, like, the fastest way to do this is via an ETL upload? How do you assign an attribute set to a particular entity? Is it via the same pathway. I think we just kind of need to see the pathways of what that looks like.
Oh, okay. So there is the front-end one, which we can describe. But if you've got lots and lots of them, then the best way is through an ETL. So
Yeah.
there is no shortcut around that. But if it's a front.
Sorry, I was just going to say, can you pick an entity on the system and just show me where the attribute set can be found? If, for example, I wanted to assign funds to fabrics.
Okay. So there are two. When you're assigning an attribute to a property, it's a two-step process. First, you assign one or more attributes, and then you can select the attribute values for that particular item. So what you do is you just go into the property. I'll just view that.
Is it? That doesn't look like our full. What about entities that aren't 0 to 0 codes?
Okay, so let's look at it in a different way, because I was just looking at just properties. Okay, so you have got all these entities. Okay, yeah, because I was just looking at property as an example. Okay, so in this case, I'll just look at a particular here,
okay.
Attribute. Okay.
Yeah.
So already, I think you have got an attribute set which you already have for. I think you already added this particular attribute entities are that, and then I think you've also added up for that one, and you've added quite a few. So already this is what you have. So you can add another set here, and then you can and then add funds, and then once you go to the fund. Then you can then specify. If you see at the moment, you can specify then the country, which this particular one, I think it's mostly Luxembourg, I guess. And then, if you recall, we didn't put any values for opportunity fund or that. We didn't put any that for that, but the values, once you have that, then that's it. So you have that. That's the easiest way of adding attributes. It's quite straightforward.
That is more straightforward. So there's no control panel pop up that you have to go through anymore.
No. You just go to the entity, make sure that you add that. The most important thing is possibly the setup. So it's a three-way process. You first of all set up the attribute set, then you to that attribute set you add the attributes themselves, and then within each you can then put in the values. So if, for example, I was going to have fund accountants here, or fund controllers, accountants, or whatever system of you use, or fund manager, then I'll just, it all will be there, then I can choose what I need to have.
Yeah, so, that's great. No, this is just a comparison of V8 to V7. We know how to work it, so...
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
So in a nutshell, that's that. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Then there was the issue, which I think you've already discussed with Graham, around processing capex and setting up depreciation. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you guys have got fixed asset register, but a fixed asset manager, but you don't have. So, in essence, I'll just take a question from the floor in terms of what particular issues you were looking at when processing capex, then I'll answer that accordingly.
Yeah, Actually, if you're still on, I'm wondering if you can help out on this one. So if you recall, quite a long time ago, we selected a couple of expense codes and we bucketed them together into a kind of expense type called development costs, I think. And that means that when we create a journal where we use that expense type, it's almost automatically categorized for us under development costs. I don't know what part of IA that is that we did that in, but it's certainly not part of the fixed asset register module because we definitely have that today already searched for. But we never completed it, and again, I'd just like to do a V7 to V8 comparison of how we would do that today on V8.
So what was the process before? Yeah, Ashley, you can explain.
Yeah, so it was just under setting up just like a journal entry because we don't have that fixed asset register to do any depreciation or any of those schedules. So it's just your manual journal entry that you would go to. So basically under I think it was under the payables module, under the payables module you have to define buckets for expense categories. And I think the issue
do you have access to 7S at the moment, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
You can share the screen so that if you don't mind, I'm putting you on the spot. I just want to just make sure that everyone sees what we are talking about, and then I can go into V8. Yeah. If you don't mind, please.
Yeah. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So basically in here, we created these two buckets, development expenditure and capital expenditure. So you have to, I don't know if these are kind of like standard within Yardi or we need to define them all, but then they don't cover the full GL chart of accounts. So then we had to set up these two
segments.
items.
I don't think it's segments.
No, not just expense. So basically you have to set
type.
And then here it'll give you, when you select an expense type, it'll give you like an option of a GL you can actually post a payroll batch to. So if you don't have like the sort of preset options, didn't have the full chart of accounts, so we had to add on these two items to cover additional GLs that were missing from the preset expense categories. I don't know if like on the fixed assets, I think with the fixed asset module, really that would only really, I don't know if you do capital expenditure in the fixed asset module, if that's more for for assets that are depreciating, whereas if we've got items that we're not actually running depreciation with but we just need to capitalise, that's how we do it within the manual entry, basically through the payables module.
Okay.
Yeah, so in summary, we would like to see on V8 how do you create a new expense type and tag that to the specific.
Okay, so I get it now. I get it. So, sorry,
Okay,
was there another
sharing
comment?
now. Do you want me to stop sharing? Is that?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Okay. I'll just share my screen now as well. So in essence, what we are talking about is still applicable in V8. So what we are saying is, when you come to processing a payable, you still follow the same the same process. Okay, I'll just use an example which I had before. Okay, and then what you are effectively saying is you are adding a payable here, and I'll just put in that. So you still have got the same things. So at the moment um, you have got capital expenditure, okay? And then what you are effectively saying is when you come here, I choose whatever property I choose, let's say, and on the selection they need to restrict me to the particular GLs which are all related to capital expenditure. So in this case, I think So in this case, it was development. Okay. So you have got development, and then it will then restrict you to that as well. So the most important thing is in terms of expense type, all the particular setups again should be in Voyager. We have, I think, is no. Okay. It's not that. Sorry, just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Okay.
It should be under system, I think.
Yeah.
Lookup list.
Yeah, lookup list. Yeah, that's the one which I'm looking for. Yeah, there it is. Yes, thank you. Okay. So in here now, you can go and have your property, your expense types. Okay.
Well, I don't know what we're looking at right now. Sorry.
Okay. We are looking at the expense types, which you were talking about. Okay.
Okay.
So
we didn't make these though.
Yeah, so this is the point we are trying to make and say, okay, we now have got the expense types here which have been set up, these ones. Okay.
Really?
So this is where you find development and capital expenditure. So the question is, in terms of looking at your expenditure, your expenditure types. Is this the least you would expect, or you wanted to add more? That's my question now.
We want to know how to add more, because I think today we only have development expenditure and maybe capital expenditure. So I'm seeing admin, audit, finance, investment, and I don't understand why they're there, because I don't think they're ours. I can't really work out what's the difference between the ones we've made and the ones that are, I don't know, pre-set or something?
No, this is the same. Because what we are saying is, if you come here, when you are doing your PO, your payables, you should be able to see this full list here. It's the same list. So this is where you set up the list. So if I go, I'll just duplicate this. And I go to the GL like we were just doing now, and I come back to the payable. Okay. If you go to your expense list, this is the same list. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's the same list. So from a setup point of view, what we are effectively saying is, I now get to the point where you're driving is when you create if you are creating any particular payable, and then this is what you particular have in terms of the setup. So what it means is you have got the ability to come here, and this is your current list, and the question is, if you want to add one, you can add this. Yeah, you can add.
And how do you see what GL accounts get bucketed under it? How do you select particular GL accounts to be the ones that are available once you select that type?
So this is what we call GL validation, segment rules here.
I think they might just be using the account expense type security.
Okay, so they are not using here because I thought they were using here. Okay, so what it means is when you set up and help me here, Kaya.
I'm not sure where it is.
Set permission. No, it's not here. It's expensive. Right. Okay. Let me just quickly confirm that. Just quickly confirm that. Yeah. Because I thought possibly they were using validation. You're not using that, but like what
I
Kara
can show a
said.
quick overview of what it looks like in 7 maybe.
Yeah. Okay. If you can share the screen, yeah, then I'll be able to quickly pick it up as well. Let's type.
So right now, I think you guys have set up account expense type security. So that basically means that per expense type, so what Searchmore just showed prior in V8, is that you can define which GL accounts you use for those expense types. So
Yeah, exactly.
like
So-
we see here, only access for this.
So to clarify for everyone else, if you are creating a payable or maybe a journal and you select, like early on as you're creating it, you select the expense type development expenditure, that will make sure that you can't just select any GL account from the whole chart of accounts. It will only show you the account code for a development expenditure account in order to push you to select the right place for the journal to be posted to, or the entry to be posted to. So theoretically, if that's not correct and there's actually 5 accounts that need to be in there so that you have the option of multiple different ones, this is where we would change that to say, okay, now we'll make it so that you have this option of 5. But today, for development expenditure, there's only one account code that you can use if you select that expense type. And I feel like we might need to build this out in future, which is kind of why I'm asking here, like, what's the process?
Yeah, so the process is like what Kyra is saying is you have got, like I showed you how to build up the expense type, and then the next the next build up is Kyra, if you can start again how you arrive at this the link. So it's under security, yeah? And then you've got the expense type. Okay. And then under that, if you click now, if you just click, all your expenses which we have set up are all listed here. And then you can then specifically go and say, okay, for this particular expense type, I just want this to be, people not to have access to these certain items. So if you click on development expenditure, sorry, Kyra, yeah. Yeah, and then you can see, so people don't have access to all those entities, all those GLs. So that's the exclusion list. They just have access to that, to the other ones. So that's the setup which you need to do. So for now, you have to decide which what is your list of what you call it, expense types, and then which GLs do you want to exclude from them. Once you do that, it's easy to set up the rest here.
I get that, but how do you do that on V8?
Yeah, that's what I am just checking out. Okay. It's all under security. Yeah, just keeping on the screen here, I think. Okay, I will need to come back to you on that because I think possibly we might not have it in V8. So
Okay,
I just want
yeah.
to make sure that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Graham did flag that there were certain things that were still to be done in V7. So if we just have clarity,
Yeah,
then that's fair.
Yes, I'll come back to you. I don't think we have that, but I'll come and confirm with you, and then I'll give you the steps which are required to go through that. Yeah.
Thank you. That's correct.
Yeah. So in terms of capex, then, so in actual sense, in this case, it was all about expense tags and how you can restrict the people from posting to certain GLs. Whether it's not only, it doesn't only just affect capex. You can do it on any other expense type you want, if you want to restrict that. Yeah.
And then, just to get confirmation, so anything with regards to setting up depreciation, kind of recurring activity, that would all require the fixed asset register module, so it's not really in scope for us right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So I just want to highlight that the fixed asset register can be used for more than just fixed assets. Okay, fixed assets, it also includes both intangibles as well. So if you are doing any amortization of debt issue costs, you can set it up in fixed asset register.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about doing it off system on Excel or any other system. Once you have a fixed asset register, anything to do with amortization, whether tangible or intangible, you'll be able to do that.
And sorry, can you set this up to be like booked in a specific GL books? Because we have cases where we maintain two different accounting standards, and under one, if you keep your asset cost, you do amortization and depreciation, and under other accounting standards, you keep it at fair value, so you shouldn't record that. So can you select in which books you want to record this, and this flow to kind of like to work there?
I need to confirm that, because all you are saying is you are restricting the book. Say, because the question is you have got different funds. Yeah. Remember the configuration is one. So if I have, let's say, amortization of debt issue costs in one fund, you are able to record it accrual, but in another fund you are able to record it.
You're misunderstanding me. It's for the same entity. The same fund might have to report into two different accounting standards. Let's say you have standalone accounts in one reporting standard, and then you have consolidated accounts in a different one. And as such, for some entities, we maintain kind of like two different sets of books for the two different accounting standards for the same entity. And my question here is, can you set this up so that you only book the depreciation in a certain books while keeping it away from other books?
If you had, in the case of depreciation, I'll just give you an example which you gave. In the case of depreciation, if you had fixed asset register, you can specify that I want this to only go to this particular book. But when it comes to normal processing as itself, as you see, when you're processing a journal, it gives you a list of books to which you want that to go to. It doesn't give you the option to, I don't think you can restrict then the number of books to which you can post to in the normal GL. So I can again just try to find out if there's a solution to that, but I'm 100% sure that you can't do that in the normal processing books. You have to.
Okay, I mean,
you have to
just
specify.
to restrict it is just to be able to set it up so it's booked in whatever books you need it, depending on your entity and the way that you do your reporting. This is kind of like my point rather than actual restrictions.
Okay, just a moment. I just want to quickly confirm something. I get your point now.
I think it would be useful to organise a demo on the fixed asset register module for a future date. I suspect we have almost got enough use cases together across our platform now that this could be really interesting for us to look at. So that would be my suggestion, and then Nikolai, we can kind of drill into that scenario.
So good.
Okay. In the meantime, let me just quickly confirm what you just asked. I just want to see from what I have here. if okay, just give me a moment. And now, I thought that was going to be the solution. So let's pick up on the fixed asset. We don't have, I can see that we don't have this at the moment, but I also pick that up for you as well to see if there's a way around it. But for now, it seems unlikely that we can have that option. Okay. Any other question? So that at least from our point, me and Kyra, if there's anything we want to investigate further, we can investigate that for you guys.
I just have a question on the bankbook module, whether there is a difference between the V7 or V8, whether it's actually live in V8 yet.
At the moment, we don't have. The short answer is at the moment we don't have bank book in V8, but it's going to be tested shortly. So we expect to have a working module for that in the coming few periods. But for now, we don't have that as a working model in V8.
Okay, so yeah, so it's just V7 for now until you give an update on that. And then that will be for all reports as well, and V8 you'll be doing all the testing on the report and the process.
Correct, yes, that's correct, yeah.
Speaking of banking module, I wanted to check, is it possible to add banking details to the vendors in the AV module?
The banking details?
Yes, of the vendor.
Okay, let's come here. You should be able to do that because it's standard, isn't it?
But by the way, I don't know if, but you're not sharing your screen. I don't know if you intend to do so.
Yeah, I intend to do that. Just a moment. I'll show that shortly. Just bear with me. Okay, let's share the screen now. My system just collapsed. That's why I'm trying to log in before I come online. Sorry about that. Okay. Kyra, is it possible if you can just check the vendor, please? Because I'm having a small hiccup here. If you don't mind.
Give me a second.
Yeah. I'm just having a small hiccup. Oh. Come on. Come on. Sorry, I just want to apologize to everyone. I'm having some IT issues here all of a sudden, so I don't know what's happening. Come on. Okay, I'm finally here. So the question was, are we able to change the bank details? Yeah.
Yeah, to add and change the bank details, yes.
You should be able to do that, but I just want to demonstrate that. And here it is. Okay. Test. Okay. So I'm just coming it from a what do you call it? Okay, let me share my screen now. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so in terms of a vendor, the question is, you guys, you don't have what do you call it, procure to pay at the moment. So I just want to quickly show it from a normal vendor in 7M, and then I'll just make sure that I collect that to V8, because I cannot see the vendor in V8. So if I come here, I should be able to add up the bank details for the vendor, the EFT setup there. So if this is working here, by default you should be able to also add up the bank details for that in V8. Now the question is, I think.
Sorry. Just kind of going back to that, I didn't see a place for like an account number there.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't think they can search more because they don't have an EFT format.
Yes, this is what I'm saying from that's why if they don't have an EFT format, which is correct, they won't be able to add. But the general question was, are they able to add? So they are able to add subject to them having an EFT format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
EFT
So,
a requirement of procure to pay as a module? Like we wouldn't have EFT until
No,
If you-
so
Or
EFT, this is what
configuration thing.
we're talking about in terms of bank interfaces, because now you're only using it for bank book, you're not generating
Yes.
payment files.
correct.
The EFT format is for the payment files.
For the payment side, yeah.
Yeah, okay, but it's a configuration thing for us to set that up if we were to get the parser configuration acquired and then
Sort of, yes. It's not the parser configuration, it's different. So usually you would communicate to us, okay, we need an EFT format for this particular country because it does differ per region.
okay.
And that would be uploaded to your system, after which
Okay.
you would be able to complete the setup.
Yeah, so you then select that EFT type from the drop down box and then that would show
Exactly,
like, provide
because-
you with
Yeah.
the data fields
Yeah.
that you need to populate.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because that's
So-
determined by the region it's needed for.
Got it. Okay,
Okay.
got it.
Can
So
the
this-
information be imported, I suppose? Like I mean the bank details for each and every vendor? Or do you have to manually input it like to the system?
Oh,
can
you're
just
asking
put
if
through
there
an
ETL upload
Yeah,
for...
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So the point is, like what Hera said, is at the moment you don't have any EFT format. That's why you didn't see the bank details there.
Yeah.
In short.
And-
So yeah.
Once this is activated and set up, then would we be able to issue a report, let's say, of all the outstanding payables, which will include like vendor, amount, invoice number, and banking detail?
Not banking detail. You can have here your payable, your AP analytics, which you can then choose what you want to display. So there are different types of reports you can do on the AP. You can payment register. It will show the what you have paid, the vendor, if you want to do that, and then the aging analysis. So the report is there in terms of that. So you can effectively do that.
Okay,
So
but it won't
you
show
can-
the banking details of the vendor for any,
No.
let's say, unpaid invoices. I'm talking about unpaid invoices.
it will show here, if you look at the screen here, it will show here what period you want that to be, let's say for example. Then you can select the bank from which the payable you are going to pay it from. So at least these are the bank. It won't show you the what I call it.
We are looking for the bank details of the vendor itself, not of our, not of the entity itself you're servicing.
Yes, so I think that is now what we are saying. If you've got the EFT details, then you'll be able to run it. There is actually a report which you can run for the EFTs, if I'm not mistaken, Kyra. You can run that, but at the moment we don't have that list here.
Okay.
You should, but we don't have a report whereby you have like this aged analysis, which basically shows you what's outstanding, and then in the same report you have the bank details for the supplier. I'm not aware of such a report at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. Understood. Thank you.
Because one other key thing is already from a control point of mechanism, you don't want those bank details to be easily available anyway, isn't it? Yeah? Unless you restrict your.
This is not secret. I think the bank details of the vendors, I don't think those are like confidential information or anything. So this is from that standpoint, it doesn't make a difference, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fair point. I totally understand. Yeah.
Apologies,
Right,
Serge.
that's all from me. No more questions from my side. Thank you.
Serge, I just want to probably clarify something. My understanding is that Yardley was designed, in principle, as a supporting or main software for property managers, right? So I also understand that these property managers deal with suppliers, vendors, tenants, and so on. So they would have this ability to set everything up on Yardi and do payments, which would include bank details, vendor details, and so on, being linked to the bank accounts and processing payments. It's just a question that, as you said earlier, there is no this model yet here being set up, so it's not visible. But in normal course of business, it would be, right? And there would be some restrictions also over the users to be able to add or amend bank details, right? I mean, there are probably processes in place, and user rights would then allow people to do certain things, like changing bank account numbers or any other details, but obviously these steps have to be approved for various reasons, right?
Correct. So this is what we discussed in short when we are looking at, if you recall, workflows. So when you set up a vendor, which is it's a good point you are raising. When you set up a vendor, definitely, when you set up a vendor, you should be able to then, from a workflow point of view, okay, I'll just come to the dashboard here. So from a vendor point of view, anytime you want to make any changes, you need to set up a workflow from a vendor, so that will be controlled. Now, looking from a property manager point of view, again, it all comes up to the module which you are using, because in your case, you are just using the deal manager and investment accounting. You will have, I'll just quickly show you from what I have here. You should then be able to have, this is for sort of like a generic list of all the key, that, so you have, this is what is called for property accounting. You have got that. So in essence here, you then have the property managers are able to do similar things, but everything is here, including the leases and all that stuff. I'm just showing this as an example. The link is already there. If you have a property managers, we're going to do some stuff, then we have got it all here, and it's the commercial side, and everything should be fine. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that's how it should be. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically we're using investment accounting here, and obviously the options are sort of restricted, and rightly so, right? But if you were to want to expand it a bit, there is always opportunity there, right? And we can apply for different modules. if we need
Correct.
to.
Correct. It's just like fixed asset manager module we were talking about. It's similar to that. Yes.
Thanks.
I know it has been quite a long session, so in terms of anything which is left over, I don't know if we've got another session, Ali, but I'm more than happy to defer that. And in the meantime, if we can collect all the questions which we need to respond to you, Ali, please feel free to do that if there's any gaps, in case I miss out anything which is not which was not clear during this session.
Yeah, thank you, Searchmore, absolutely. So I think the notes right now are just on the query on the fixed asset register and also how to change an expense type. But we are going to kick off testing later today. And
Okay.
so as over the course of next week, we might collate queries or issues, things that aren't working. If there's things that are working, we'll probably reach out to you directly. But it might be useful maybe either later half of next week or start of the week after to have a final follow-up session for just any questions that come out of that as well, which we again will sort of collect as we go so that you know what they are.
Okay. So what I'll do as well is, especially on the expense type in V8, where you can set up this security. If I get an answer, I'll just send you an email, which you can then distribute to the team. Yeah.
Perfect. That'd be
Okay.
great. Brilliant.
Unless
I think
there's no,
just to say thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for everything you've done and for all the training you've provided. It's been really great.
I really appreciate that, and thank you very much from myself and my colleague Kyra for your help. And like we say, when we go through these things, there's quite a variety of group of people we have. Some with higher knowledge, some with some gaps in what we've covered. So if they come back to you, please feel free to escalate if something is not clear. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Super.
Have a lovely weekend and take care, please.
Same to you.
Have a good weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.